I'd like to invite everybody to take their seats so we can get started. Welcome to the Spring 2015 Commencement ceremonies for the most recent graduates of Ameritech College. We would ask the audience to please rise for the procession of the staff, faculty, and graduates, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. We welcome friends and family here tonight, gathered with faculty and staff to commemorate the graduation ceremony for the Ameritech College graduates, and we're grateful for the support that you have all given to the college itself and specifically to your graduates. My name is Spencer McNiven. I'm the Executive Director of the Draper Campus and the Vice President of Operations for the college. I'll be conducting the meeting this evening. Graduates, you have officially completed your programs, and I believe that you're ready to continue on into your careers. This ceremony this evening is an official endorsement of your readiness to enter the workforce with the knowledge and the skills to become competent professionals in your chosen fields of study. We celebrate your accomplishments with you and your family and applaud you and your efforts. Our ceremony this evening will commence as follows. At first, we will hear from a number of our graduates, followed by our keynote speaker, and then finally we will conclude with the ceremony and the conferral of the diplomas and the degrees. Our first graduate speaker this evening will be Matt Stastny from the Dental Laboratory Tech Program. Following him will be Shayna McMillan Cisneros from the Medical Assisting Program. We will then hear from David Rivera from the Surgical Tech Program, and the final graduate speaker will be Rebecca DeMasters from the Associate Nursing Program. We'll now be pleased to hear from our graduate speakers.
First off, I'd like to express my thanks for the opportunity to speak to you all this evening. What do you say to a diverse group of people like this? Well, first off, to the graduates of the different programs, congratulations on your hard work and perseverance. To those friends and family who supported these students, thank you. And to the staff and faculty who's also supported us and taught us, thank you again for teaching and at times putting up with us. To the students, as you look forward to your future, reach within yourself and dig deep. Do the best that you can within your chosen profession. The medical fields that we have chosen to pursue, they're all about helping others. Take joy in what you've chosen to do. Your future is bright if you make it so. They asked me to speak a little bit about how I got here, and I started on this journey a few years ago. As a friend and mentor offered me a job working in his dental office as an in-house lab tech to run a new milling machine that he had purchased to make crowns for his dental practice. I didn't have a clue as to what I was doing, other than that I was good with computers and willing to learn new things. I never knew how that desire to learn new things would be tested over the next few years. After many ups and downs, learning what worked and what didn't work, I decided that if I wanted to make this exciting new path I was on into a career and means of supporting my family, I needed to gain a better understanding of what was out there and how to make the most of it. After doing some research, I found Ameritech College, offering an accelerated program that offered a great deal of lab time, and it seemed like it was a perfect fit. It was a big move for my wife and children to come with us down from Alaska. But we've been very happy that we did so. I have made lifelong friends here in the school, as well as gained the foundation that I needed to be successful in my chosen career. I wish all of you the best, and I hope that you're able to achieve your goals. I'd like to take just a moment to thank my friend and mentor, Steve Christensen, my children, Chandler, Gabe, and Morgan, and most of all, my beautiful wife, Jen, for putting up with me and helping me get through this program and realize my dreams. Thank you.
Today is an amazing day for me. Sorry. One of my very most proudest moments. To be honest, I never thought that I would go to college, let alone graduate, with honors, and be asked to speak, which I'm really dead to. I think I was asked because I have quite the story and I've come really far. A little over 2 years ago, I was an active drug user, and one day I looked down at my baby girl, and I thought, what am I doing? She deserves so much more. I deserved more. So I took the first step to my sobriety, and I called Mom and Dad, asked to come home, and I spent the next year working on myself, figuring out who I was and what I wanted to be. And to be honest, I had no idea. Then a friend of mine called me and asked me to come check out some school with her, and I had no idea that I would be coming home that day enrolled in college. I'm lucky enough to come from an amazing family who completely supported my decision to go back to school. My mom worked her butt off, supporting the whole house. My sisters and my cousin and my brother, they all sacrificed a lot to watch my daughter drive me around. So I could do homework or take a nap. My dad, who is very ill, stayed home with my daughter, played dress up, despite what he says, had tea parties so that I could finish my externship. And I thank each of you from the bottom of my heart for helping me. My fellow graduates, I remember each time we started a new class, we all doubted ourselves, completely uncomfortable with everything that Ben and Melissa were making us do. But we did it with the help of our peers and our instructors, kicking us in the butts, pushing us out of our comfort zones, challenging us, making us prove to ourselves that we could do it. I hope that throughout our careers and our lives that we are challenged. I believe that every challenge we face will help us grow and make us even more skilled and knowledgeable. I'm so proud to be a part of this group of medical assistant graduates. I've met some incredible people, made some lifelong friends, I know that we've been trained and prepared to do the best in our field. And I hope that we continue to be compassionate and care without judgment. I hope that we continue to grow, to learn, and to challenge ourselves every day. Congratulations, everyone. You did it.
Good evening. How's everyone doing today? Thank you all for coming and supporting the graduates of Ameritech College on this special day. We are all finally here. All the studying, hard work, and early mornings finally paid off. Now it's time for us to go out there and continue doing what we studied so long for. Today is the road to a new beginning, new life, and never-ending journey of learning. Being the only student to graduate, it's an honor because it's a huge potential to show that you can continue doing it yourself even if you have no peers around you to support you. I'd like to take a moment and say thank you. I'd like to thank my friends and family for supporting me day by day because without their love and support, I don't think I would have finished my schooling. I'd also like to thank Shauna Jackson for being a great teacher, mentor, and friend. I've never had any other teacher that was so determined into putting so much time to help me succeed. In a short amount of time, I was on externship as a surgical technologist. I learned to love life more and not take life for granted, nor should anyone else do that. I am grateful for meeting this one man in particular. Regardless of the situation, he still maintained a positive and joyful personality. For his procedure, I approached him to see how he was feeling, and out of all the people I have met facing challenges in their life, he was the most inspiring. As he was lying there on his bed, he continued talking to me, joking around as if I was a friend, as a well-known friend. He began to tell me that even though he knew he was losing a limb, it wasn't going to affect him. It wasn't going to have a bad effect on his life. I admired how he continued joking around down to the last minute of his procedure. That just goes to show that no matter what challenges you face, always keep a positive attitude so nothing can get in the way of your life. Every day is a learning experience for all of us. No matter who you are or what you do, you will always learn something new. Furthering your education is very valuable. I remember planning my future every day at school, at work, at home, and even in my sleep. Even though I have a plan on what I want to pursue, it's still a large amount of pressure. As the great surgeon Dr. Benjamin Carson once said, no matter how good you are at planning, the pressure never goes away. So I don't fight it, I feed off it. I turn pressure into motivation to do my best. I chose this school because I can relate so well to it. I face new challenges each day. The hardest choice I made was to continue my education because of the situation I was in. I had just became a father, a student, and an employee. I rarely got any sleep. I rarely got to see my family, which was very hard. I had so many reasons to quit, but I chose not to. Only a failure makes excuses and gets nowhere in life. Whether you're doing it for your spouse, your kids, your parents, or even yourself. Remember, never settle for an average life. Go out there and create an extraordinary, unforgettable life. As my fourth grade teacher once told me, life has no remote. Get up and change it yourself. Thank you.
I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Ameritech College for the generous cash award, the tuition refund, the shiny new car, and an honorary master's degree. You guys missed out. It's not true. Thank you for the honor of speaking, but truthfully, I feel like I've been given the responsibility of keeping you awake for the next 5 minutes, so let's see how I do. 13 years ago, I applied to a nursing school back in Baltimore, and I was accepted. And I went to orientation, attended the campus, the whole thing. I was all set, found a roommate. And at the last minute, I chickened out. I was so fearful of failing that I didn't do it. I bailed on commissions, on my roommate, and on myself. The fear of failure paralyzed me enough that I didn't even try. So it goes an Olympian fable that an eagle, pierced by an arrow, gazed at the feathered shaft and said, "Not by others, but by our own plumage are we smitten." The truth of the matter is that nobody else is paying as much attention to your perceived failures as you are. You're the only one who's obsessed with the importance of your own life. To everyone else, it's just a blip on the radar screen. So now it's 13 years later, and I'm a different person, and it's not that I don't have fear anymore, it's that I have a little more courage. The truth is, this nursing program, in a very real way, saved my life, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I was going through a very trying time, and I knew I needed to do this to give me direction and strength and hope and light, and that's exactly what this nursing program did for me. Do I still have fear? You bet. It weaves its way in and out of thoughts and is disguised as excuses and rationalizations, but I've learned to recognize it. And when you can recognize it and speak it, you can develop a mastery over your own fears. I believe Helen Keller said it best: security is mostly superstition. It does not exist in nature. Life is a daring adventure for nothing. So whatever it is that brought you to this place, for whichever reason, I hope you come out a better person, not just with an additional set of skills and qualifications, but greater insight into who you are and your capabilities. When we started our clinical rotations, I was waiting for my first big moment when I would see something big and terrifying and exciting in the hospital. And little did I know that it would be my little brother, and he passed away. Several days later, I witnessed another scene that I will never forget. At his viewing of his funeral, hundreds upon hundreds of people came, people that I didn't know. He was a teacher and then a principal, and the story started pouring in about the influence and the change that he had made in people's lives. And I'd like to share one excerpt from one of his former students. Quote, "When I was in 6th grade, I was having some issues, and I wasn't attending a school. I went from school to school trying to find a place to go, and the principals really didn't see me. Then I went to Emerson School, and Mr. B, who's my brother, canceled the meeting he had just so he could talk to me. He walked up to me, put his arms around me, and made me feel welcome. He said he couldn't wait to take care of me. Every day after that, he would check up on me and make sure I was okay and made me feel special and took really good care of me. He helped me get into a middle school and a high school and helped me get to where I am today. If it weren't for him, I don't know where I would be. He has changed my whole life." Close quote. David McCullough Jr., the son of the famed author David McCullough, said, "The great and curious truth of the human experience is that selflessness is the best thing you can do for yourself." No matter our profession, no matter our stage in life, I believe that the truest meaning of success is defined by what you do for others within our sphere of influence. My brother gave me a deeper understanding of this principle. Contrary to the world's definition of success, it's not our honors, it's not the marks we make, it's not our pay raises, our titles, it's not even our achievements. And for us graduates tonight, don't be fools. It's not our diploma. Those are all good things, but what it is who we choose to be. And having a new diploma or a new position is simply an alternate avenue that our influence travels on, for better or for worse. I'd like to tell you about the selflessness that was demonstrated by the individuals sitting behind me and in the audience, and I'm speaking of our instructors. I witnessed, as did my classmates, the essence of humanity many times, and there are moments I won't soon forget. It goes beyond their words of encouragement, their willingness to help a student. It's their openness, their sharing of very personal and sometimes sacred experiences. Some instructors have bared their souls to us in the lecture. It's a pretty neat thing to walk onto campus in the morning expecting to gain knowledge for our training and to leave campus with so much more. I will never forget the experience that one instructor shared with us in class, where a mother's life was hanging in the balance, and she and all the staff encircled the operating physician, and each offered silently their thoughts and prayers on behalf of this mother, regardless of their different faiths. I would like to publicly thank these instructors who have given back to us not only their wisdom and experience, but more importantly, their life lessons. I believe that I'm a better person than I arrived at the school because of them. Thank you for your selflessness. We are so very blessed. It is our responsibility and our privilege to give back, and we have a greater capacity to do so when we can overcome our fears and recognize the basis of our decisions and make choices out of love and a desire to do for others what others have done for us. In the words of Ralph Waldo Emerson, the only true gift is a portion of thyself. So as you embark on this new journey in your lives, it is you who will truly be successful by uplifting those within your sphere of influence and by giving a portion of yourself. I wish you the very best. Thank you for staying awake.
We would like to thank our graduate speakers for sharing their experiences and their stories with us, and we recognize that every single one of our graduates have a story of their own that only they know, and their families, of the struggles and the challenges that they've had as they've returned to school and they've earned these degrees, and getting these degrees are not easy. And so we just want to say thank you to those that shared their thoughts with us. At this time, we'd like to introduce our keynote speaker. I'm excited to introduce Tammy Pfeiffer. She's an education advisor for Governor Gary R. Herbert. Tammy has a wealth of knowledge and experience in education and is an advocate for students and teachers alike. Tammy has 5 children, and as a mother, she understands the struggles of our students. As an instructor, she knows the difficulties of teaching. Before her appointment, Tammy served on the Utah State Board of Education and was elected chair in December 2013. She worked 10 years at Utah State University in the Special Education Department and the Communication Disorder and Deaf Education Department. She served 8 years on the Logan City Council and was a Logan Schools Foundation Executive Director. Tammy notes that her greatest satisfaction has come from raising 5 talented and kind children with her husband, Aaron, at her side. Although they are now empty nesters, Tammy and Aaron are adjusting remarkably well and are enjoying being the grandparents of 3 delightful grandchildren. Let's give a big warm welcome to Tammy Pfeiffer.
I am really excited to be here tonight, and the remarks of Matt and Shayna and David and Rebecca have really touched me. Thank you so much. Very well done. Thank you to the faculty and the administration and parents and family members for all that you've done for these graduates. This is a big deal, and I'm glad that you're here. It's a big day for you. You know, a lot of people decide not to go to their graduation for whatever reason. Sometimes it's inconvenient for family, or the finals were so traumatic that they just said, I'm done, I'm going to go on with my life. But it's a big day, and you'll remember, and you'll be glad that you were here tonight. So thank you for being here. You know, for as long as I can remember, I knew what I wanted to be when I grew up. In fact, when I was in 8th grade, I wrote a little story about it. We had to write a paper in 8th grade, and I laid out my life plans. I wanted to be a mother, I wanted to be a teacher, and I wanted to be a famous singer. It was as simple as that. So at an early age, you know, my parents, I think, had an inkling that I was going to go into a helping profession like a teacher or a doctor or a nurse. They had a picture of me when I was about 2 or 3 years old. I was with my sister, and we were in Wyoming, where we lived for a short time, and my dad hunted pheasants and ducks. And my folks took a picture of us bringing in some ducks. They were dead ducks. And my sister had a duck by each hand, and she was hauling the ducks in like this with a big grin on her face. I had a dead duck cradled gently, softly in my arm, ever holding out hope for this duck. And I think at that moment, my folks thought, you know, she might be going into a helping profession. And sure enough, I did. I ended in education. So I'm a mother, check. I've been a teacher in public education and in higher education, check. The famous singer part, maybe not quite there, but on the other hand, I married a singer. I've raised 5 children who are all very musical. My oldest son is a full-time musician. He's a producer. He does it for a living. And so if we count living vicariously through my children, I am a famous singer. Check, done. So you would say maybe mission accomplished. That's what I wanted to be when I grew up. Done, done, and done. But in reality, the mission is not accomplished because dreams change, and sometimes the dreams should change. And mine have changed over time. I finished my bachelor's degree, like many of you here, as a non-traditional student. I had 3 young children when I finished my degree. They were elementary school age children, and by the time I finished my master's degree, I had 2 more boys, and so I finished with 5 children. And parenthood changes you. Shayna articulated that very well. Parenthood changes you. You think differently. But you know, my education changed me. It was in the field I wanted to be in, it was in education, but it changed me. I loved learning. I loved everything about it. I loved being able to apply what I was learning at home with my kids, or when we learned about behavior management and how to kind of get people to do what you wanted them to do. I practiced on my husband. It was awesome. I loved it. I just loved what it was all about. So it changed me. It inspired me. It empowered me. And by the time I was done with my schooling, my husband said, "You've blossomed. This has transformed you." And my dreams changed. Being a mother and being a teacher and being a famous singer, that was great. But you know what I really wanted to do when I was done with my education? And it's going to sound cliche. I wanted to change the world. That was my new goal. And interestingly, most times we'll hear kids say, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" And it's like, "I want to change the world." And then as they get older, their goals become more concrete. And it's like, "Okay, well, I want to do this, or I want to be this profession." I was just the opposite. I had all these concrete ideas. And then as I got my education, it's like, man, heck with that, I want to change the world. And so that's the path that I have embarked on from my education and being empowered through my education. And so the point is, this isn't about me. I want you to feel empowered, and I want you to share that cliched, possibly, goal and vision, and join me in changing the world. Because we can do it. We've heard from these people how one person can change the world. As Rebecca noted, her brother changed the world. That's not an exaggeration. When you look at the people you touch, you can join me in changing the world. So you guys already have a head start because we're in a helping profession. So boom, we're already a head start on everyone else. And you have that compassion, you have the passion in this field. You have the heart and the hard work that's needed to get started on this goal of changing the world. And you're going to have a lot of opportunities to do it being in the professions that you're in. So it wouldn't be a graduation speech if I didn't give you some advice. So first of all, we're all agreed we're going to change the world. Now, here's my advice and some things I've learned along the way in my goal to change the world. Number one, it's just 3 things. I'm not going to be here very long. Be brave. Sometimes you need some extra courage. I'll never forget when I was 19 years old, I was living in Montana, newly married. I married young, and I was working with a young group of women from my church, and we were at a Christmas program. And I shepherded the girls, and we watched this program, and it was northeastern Montana, very cold in the wintertime, the wind blows, I mean, really cold. And as we were getting ready to leave this program, we stepped out, we were getting our coats on, and there was an older gentleman putting on his coat. And he must have had some form of arthritis because his hands were bent and gnarled. And I watched him struggle to zip up his coat. It seemed so simple. And I kept thinking, should I help him? Should I reach over and help him? Or what if that embarrasses him? What if he's super embarrassed because I offered to help zip up his coat? And I stood there frozen with this fear of I wanted to help, but I didn't want to offend him, and so I did nothing. And he fumbled with his jacket for a moment or two, and kind of looked around, maybe a little embarrassed, and just kind of pulled his coat up tight and left the building, and started to walk outside. And I felt like an idiot. Even today, I feel like an idiot telling you about it. But I went to the door and watched him leave, and he walked across the parking lot of this building we were in, and I watched him walk across the street. And he lived just down the block. I found out later where he lived. And I went home, and to this day, I feel bad about not having courage. All I had to do was reach over and say, hey, can I help you zip up your coat? But a young 19-year-old girl afraid to offend someone, I was frozen. Funny thing, like a week later, I baked cookies and took to him as though that was going to be, make it all better. Here, I brought you some cookies. I'm sorry I was an idiot and couldn't help you zip up your coat, but here's some cookies. I hope that makes you happy. I felt like I had to do something, but didn't quite know what to do. 10 years later, a decade later, now I'm in my practicums in special education. I get my first practicum experience. I'm working with a young boy, a big personality and a very small body. He had an interesting genetic condition where he really had a small body. I was supposed to help him with handwriting. My first day, I sit down next to him, he pulls his hands out from his wheelchair, and he's got these tiny, gnarled hands, flashback, and I'm thinking, okay, I need to help him. What if I break his hands? I would be brave, Tammy, be brave. And I pretended like I wasn't afraid and said, hey, let me help you. What's the best way for me to help you hold your pencil? And stepped out of myself and made that move to helping someone and being brave. And I've never looked back. In fact, sometimes now I'm probably over helpful, and I've raised my kids to be the same way. When we see someone in those situations, we jump right in and pretend like we're not nervous at all, and we're brave, and we're courageous. But I never have to have those feelings that I did from all those years ago when I wasn't brave. So my first piece of advice, be brave. You'll be in those situations all the time where you can help someone. My second piece of advice is to be there. And by that I mean help where help is needed. Find those places that need your expertise, not necessarily your professional expertise, but you, your personality, your life experience. I'm going to give you two examples here. A few years ago, when I served on the City Council in Logan, we had a large number of refugees that moved into town. And they were getting assimilated in the schools and the community, and someone at our refugee center pulled a meeting together of a lot of people saying, how can we all pull together and help these people? And they invited me to come representing the city. And as I was sitting there, I just watched, like it was just awesome, like this orchestra playing of people that knew this and that and how to do this, and they were pulling together. And the girl I was sitting next to, she was a young mom, and she was talking about, well, I'm going to get my club together. My club's going to come over and help with this, and my club. And I said, what club is that? She says, oh, it's my 10 club. And I said, oh, I've never heard of the 10 club. I've heard of Rotary and Kiwanis and the Lions Club. She said, oh no, it's a 10 club. It's me and some friends, and we get together every month. We each bring $10. We pool our money, and we decide what we're going to do with that money and who we're going to go help. And it changes month to month. And I think my 10 club could really work with this, because there's like 20 or 30 of us when we get together. There's $200 right there. And we have all these resources. And it was just so matter of fact. It was like, who does that? Who thinks of these cool things? And such a small thing, but you look at it, you get 20 or 30 people together, there's $200 or $300 a month, and you've got the goodwill. And I've never forgotten this idea of being part of a 10 club. Another example that happened just in the last 3 years, there's a woman in Logan that noticed that, she's a grandma, she volunteers in the schools, and she noticed that some of these kids that qualify for free and reduced lunch, she said, what do they do on the weekends? Because they get free breakfast and free lunch, and they seem really hungry the next day when they come to school. What do they do on the weekends? And so she organized a group of her friends. Her daughter designs backpacks, and her daughter started sending her backpacks, and she talked to her neighbors, and every Friday they gather food for about 20 backpacks. It might be more now. They fill the backpacks with food, and they send them home with these kids so that they'll have food over the weekend. And she never knows from week to week who's going to donate, how much food's coming. She chose backpacks so that these kids wouldn't feel different. So they wouldn't be hauling, Harmon's bag home with food when other third graders are going, what are you doing? And her daughter has designed these beautiful backpacks. She is there. She found a need, she found how she could help, and she filled that need. So my second point, after being brave, be there, or help where help is needed. And my last point is this, and it might be a little different than you would be thinking of about changing the world, but I want you to be builders. Okay, I want you to be builders. We have a lot of critics. We have a lot of people who naysay, who find fault in everything we do, who find fault in everything everyone does. You probably all know people like this. No matter what happens, it's bad or it's wrong, or we could have done it better. And don't let those people get you down. I want you to be the opposite. You're going to be the antidote to that. I want you to be a builder. When I was first elected to the city council, my dad sent me this quote, and it was from a speech given by President Theodore Roosevelt in 1910. He was in Europe, but he was talking about citizenship in a republic. And in this speech, he said he wanted to emphasize the duties of citizenry in a republic. And he felt like the success of our republic didn't rest on the brilliance of its citizens, thank goodness, but on discipline, work, and character, the quality of its people. And he said, self-restraint, self-mastery, common sense, the power of accepting individual responsibility and yet acting in conjunction with others, courage and resolution. These are the qualities that mark a masterful people. And then this famous part of his speech, many of you will recognize it, talks about the man in the arena. And a lot of times you might find yourself being referred to as the man or the woman in the arena, and that is a compliment. And you should seek for that, and you should be proud of that. He says this, it's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deed could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again, because there's no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, and who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. Think about it. Think about being a builder. That when you succeed, you will know in the end the triumph of high achievement, like you do now. And at the worst, if you fail, at least you will fail while daring greatly, so that your place will never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. In closing, I have a poem that the governor tasked me with memorizing a few months ago. He found a poem and he said, I want my staff to memorize this poem. Don't tell him. I have not memorized it yet. But I really like this poem, and I like the message that it sends about being builders. And the poem is called The Builder. I saw them tearing a building down, a team of men in my hometown. With a heave and a hoe and a yes, yes yell, they swung a beam and a sidewall fell. And I said to the foreman, are these men skilled like the ones you'd use if you had to build? And he laughed and said, oh no, indeed, the most common labor is all I need. For I can destroy in a day or two what it takes a builder 10 years to do. So I thought to myself as I went on my way, which one of these roles am I willing to play? Am I one who's tearing down as I carelessly make my way around? Or am I one who builds with care in order to make the world better because I was there? So graduates, congratulations. We are partners in helping professions. Thank you for what you do and for what you will do. Be brave. Be there. Help where you can. Use your own unique talent and personality to change the world, and be builders with me so that we can make the world a magnificent place. Thank you and congratulations.
We'd like to thank Tammy for her time and her words of advice that she's given to us this evening, and we'd also like to excuse her at this time. She has an event with the governor this evening, and so she wanted to stay and as long as she could, but we will excuse her as she makes her way to that appointment. At this time, we will begin the presentation of the diplomas. Graduates, as you approach the stage, please enter on my left. You'll receive the diploma, and then you'll exit on the right. Also, please pause for just a second there so that people can take photographs of you. You don't do this very often, so take your time, get a good photograph, and then follow the directions of the ushers, and they will get you over to the right spot, and they want to take some additional photographs over there. We will now turn this portion of the ceremony over to Linda Peterson, who is the Vice President of Student Services.
We would like at this time to recognize students who've shown academic excellence by achieving a cumulative grade point average of 3.75 or greater, as signified by a gold cord, and a 4.0 with a white cord throughout their education at Ameritech College. The red, white, and blue cord represents perfect attendance. The notation is also included in the commencement program. With the Bachelor of Science Nursing Program graduates, please rise and approach the stage. Philip Bonino. Dolores Scardino. Melinda Strain. Karen Statham Anderson. Now if we could have the Associate of Applied Science of Medical Building and Coding graduates. Crystal Pace. Chelsea Bolt. Courtney Retberg. Julia Spencer Jacobson. Now we have the Healthcare Office Specialist graduates. Conception Duque. Rachel Berry. medical assistant program in Provo and Draper. We're starting with Draper. Provo. With the medical assistant graduates, please come forward. Shantae Serrano. Luis Mundo. Shayna Cisneros. Crystal Guerrero. Dulce Navarro. Yvonne Simpson. Sarah Davis. Bailey Dawn Larson. Edson Salaveria. Luigi Arghetto. Laura Briones. Charles Petty. Alma Valdovinos. Now we have our Draper medical assistants. Linda Montano. Callan Freeman. Mariah Garcia. Kay Price. Jeanette Jorgensen. Now our surgical technologist program. David Rivera. Dental lab technician program. Matthew Stasny. Associate of Applied Science Nursing graduates, Annette Murphy. Jordan Crandall. Nathan Martin. Allison Thicklin. Kara Clayton. April Kerwin. Sabrina Tatum. Brett S. Roberts. Nick Malmberg. Shay Christensen. Mikkel Horton. Brittany Graham. Connie Pruitt. Katie P. Johnson. Chad Brent Nuttall. Krista Snyder. Jessica Cruz Patterson. Brittany Ellsworth. Michelle Cooper. Pamela Wilcox. Cassandra Searle. Eric Sorensen. Ashley Thomas. Lewis Nickens. Keith Cunningham. Anne Marie Strong. Sarah Argyle. Brooks Kleinman. Jeremy Spence. Miranda Jane Park. Alicia Rasmussen. Danielle Randall. Torgally. Renee Jets. Shalise Gaudio. Nick Muir. McKay Mulestein. Brandon Allen. Rebecca DeMasters. Casey Still. Danielle Johnson. Charla Orton. As we conclude our presentation of diplomas, we wish to briefly make mention of our online BSN and medical billing and coding graduates. For obvious reasons, the remainder of the out-of-state students could not be present with us, but like each of our graduates here tonight, they have also worked very hard to complete their studies and are looking forward to starting new careers in the healthcare field. We send congratulatory thoughts and best wishes their way.
Thank you, graduates, and once again, congratulations. To conclude our evening, we will turn the remainder of the ceremony over to Mr. Larry Litchfield, Dean of Academic Affairs for Greater Campus and the Provo Campus, and he will confer the diplomas and present the graduates.
This is kind of an exciting time. How many are excited? Well, with that enthusiasm and excitement, would all the candidates for graduation please rise? On behalf of Ameritech College, I certify that each of these candidates has met the academic standards and the graduation requirements. At this time, graduates, please take your tassels, move them from the right to the left, signifying your completion of your studies as well as your transformation from your academic experience into your professional career. I now confer upon you the status of Ameritech College graduate with the rights, honors, and responsibilities thereunto appertaining. Graduates, at this time, would you please turn and face the audience? One of the reasons I do this is because I love to see the backs of the caps and all the designs they have. Very good, very creative bunch too. At this time, would you please take a moment to find your friends and family that are here in attendance tonight. Graduates, I'd like you now to give a round of applause to those who sacrificed so much and who stood by your side as you have completed your academic experience. gentlemen, to conclude our ceremony, it is with pride and full confidence that I now present to you the most recent graduating class of Ameritech College. Thank everyone for their attendance this evening. We wish you safe travels and an enjoyable evening, and graduates, good luck to you in your future endeavors. Thank you and good evening.